Hello everyone, this is another YouTube historathon inspired video, and this one about and derived from this guy Fernandez-Armesto's book Civilisations and related books that some of which you should be seeing in front of you. The one on the left specifically is a volume or volume 5 from the Cambridge World History. And the others we'll get to in a little bit. But as to the question at hand, one of the most profoundly human manifestations of the lived experience as a result of civilization, according to at least some eminent persons, is boredom, apparently. So, one question that may spring to mind is, what is the alternative to civilization, if that's important enough? Well, a completely new civilization is perhaps in mind, or do those people mean a new system? Of course, if we were enabled to trial life in barbarian culture as opposed to civilization, would we really be any less bored by its routines and quieter moments? Of course, this usually demands an answer as to what is a barbarian precisely, and therefore perhaps what also is a Roman by contrast, most obviously. Well, all sorts of Romans may have thought that a barbarian was broadly and simply people that were not Roman, apparently for real. So what did those and others think was Roman? What is Romanness? Perhaps the answer is found in a single word: civilitas. Civilitas is a certain mode of behaviour, and above all about ideas of education, of freedom, and of living according to the law. By contrast, a barbarian is a people more unruly, with precious little concept of respect for laws, especially other people's laws. This ties in with key aspects of a general understanding of barbarian culture that is characterized by raiding, by supplementing a pastoral life with raids on settled areas, farmsteads, villages, etc. Another word that describes these kinds of people is bandits. So, there is a question that arises, and we are assuming for argument's sake, that there is a powerful sense of success over survival living the life of a bandit, flush from time to time with a triumphant realization of purpose. And therefore, is there any kind of equivalent for us in civilization? Might it be winning the game at a local Premier League football match, or in the NFL, or whatever else? Or the exercise of political power in local government, or in medium-sized business? Or is it anything like successfully conquering a difficult peak in rock climbing? Don't look down. Do these things allow for a common experience of the sublime? Do they in any way equate with an historicist defence of home and homelands, together with a religious, spiritual inclination of the inexplicable? Is that what we secretly know is requisite for a more profound sense of satisfaction? To experience glory, honour, and the ineffable? And is it these things that are part of and drive human nature, and which is thereby manifest in lives and events that have come down to us, and which litter the pages of history? In 1845, Argentina's founding father Sarmiento described the founding of his country as, and I quote, an epic struggle between Western civilization and local barbarism. The local elites had replaced a past of poverty, violence and wastelands with a future of prosperity, cosmopolitanism, progress and economic opportunity. The following is a version from a page of Sophocles' Antigone as appearing in the book Civilisations by Fernandez-Armesto, which I have edited as follows. Many the wonders, but nothing walks stranger than man. The thing crosses the sea in the winter's storm, making his path through the roaring waves. He holds and harnesses, yoked about the neck, and the strong bull of the mountain. Language and thought like the wind, and the feelings that make the town. He faces no future helpless, There's only death that he cannot find an escape from. And further, from the same book, Civilisations, that was published in 2000, and I quote again, "In Amelia's room, the wallpaper was heavily flocked with velvet. The windows hung with double sets of curtains. More drapes enclosed the bed. Whereas most people in mid-19th century Argentina lived in houses with earthen floors, Amelia's Italian carpet was so thick that your foot felt cushioned. The air was heavily scented. The pale golden design raised on the surface of the wallpaper represented the play of light between faint clouds." Okay, so what of that? What of that last quote, which is right early on in the guy's book? The curious fact of life is that the author describes that quote, Amelia's room, as a successful shutting out of the weather, keep the cold out, and blooming right, but at the same time as a rejection of nature, and that civilization is a product of this analogy, what he calls the Amelia effect. Perhaps it is a partial rejection of human nature, however. It would seem to be entirely possible. Again, perhaps the following quote, is a sign. And I quote, "The most ambitious modifiers of pre-industrial grasslands are to be found in Africa." I would have guessed Australia, my brackets. "The most creative builders in swamps arose in the Americas, well before the white man arrived. Europeans have been particularly good at civilizing temperate forests, in effect at cutting or burning them down." And there is nothing further in his preface. So, is he writing imagined wrongs perpetrated by the historians of the past? And if so, what historians? Does he have any in mind, any to tell the tale? Overall, I would say it is so well written, so agreeably readable. But beyond that, in detail, the Bushmen of the Kalahari are, for example, as near as you can get to life without civilization. But is it not without virtue, or learning, or morals, or love, or little luxuries? But then he says this, and by the most critical of measure of success, it is better than civilization. And again, it says such reasonable, decent things. Maybe I can forget about that last little bit. Generally, I do like what he has written. For some reason, it is positive, pretty much. And just because their lives are the lives of desert bushmen doesn't mean they should only be categorized as worthy of inferior social status or of contempt when you add in their reputed low IQ scores. And I am inclined to not say what they are. But to say that their lives are better than human civilization anywhere else on the planet invites ridicule. It's so patently off the wall, it also invites agreement as to the overall purpose, however. To lift our minds above or beyond an immediate reaction, by contrast, to suspend judgment, and to look for those things which we do indeed have in common. A common heritage, most obviously, a common human nature as delineated, and even within such a wildly different context, that similar nature which we are all part of. But it is so absolute. It also invites us to really imagine their culture as better than our own. It demands it. It is telling us there is something wrong with our culture, that there is something wrong in the world, something wrong with the system, something wrong with the Statue of Liberty and the free world. And that is subversive. My end note is to highlight the danger in this mode of thinking, that is, not to communally agree to a reversal of fortunes rather than the prevention of potential corruption in an encounter with any other. No, that pretty well does it for this one. So I'll just say bye for now.